American drug maker Johnson & Johnson is facing an investigation for high tuberculosis medication prices. The Competition Commission will investigate J&J for the price it has been charging for the tuberculosis medicine bedaquiline. Health advocates have questioned why South Africa is paying about twice as much as other low and middle income countries. South Africa has one of the highest TB disease rates in the world. We're now joined by Doctors Without Borders Access Campaign Advocacy Officer, Candice Sehoma. Candice, thanks very much, and it's great to have you here on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Candice, please help me with the pronunciation. I know I got it very, very wrong in terms of the actual medication. Bedaquiline?
It's bedaquiline.
Bedaquiline, okay.
Bedaquiline.
Second time got it better there. How much is South Africa paying J&J per patient for a 6-month course of the drug?
Yeah, as you rightfully say, South Africa is currently paying double the price that compared to other countries. So currently, South Africa is paying about 5,500 for bedaquiline, which is a 6 months treatment course, versus other countries that are getting it through the Global Drug Facility, which is a pooled procurement facility. They are getting it for half that amount, which is 2,300.
That's, yeah. All right. So let's talk about this. So just give me a bit more detail. When we say we're paying 5,000, is this for a 6-month treatment? Is it per patient 5,000 X amount per patient for 6 months?
Exactly.
But
so
we should
that
be
is
paying
5,500.
Yeah. So we should be paying 2,400.
So we should be paying less than that. So we've done some analysis. South Africa has been, as the biggest procurer of bedaquiline, it's quite alarming that we're still paying so much for the drug. And also just considering how much we contributed towards proving the efficacy of the drug. So we ran clinical trials in South Africa. So we even contributed through our own state resources to ensure that that bedaquiline is as proven effective. And I think through the evidence that was generated in South Africa, that actually resulted through the World Health Organization even recommending bedaquiline as a standard treatment. Yet, even with those contributions that we have made, we are still paying, far much more than any other country in the world.
In July, J&J actually announced that it would be slashing the price of bedaquiline to this figure we're talking about, 2,460 Rand for low and middle income countries that buy the drug via the Stop TB Partnerships Global Drug Facility. So why is South Africa not buying the drug via that facility?
So that's also a big question. So currently with our own procurement policies or legal framework, it actually doesn't allow us to buy through pool procurement mechanisms. So that's one of the issues that even our PMFAA policies, they do not allow for us to procure that and also just to procure outside of the country. So that's one reason. But a second reason is the fact that South Africa, or rather Johnson & Johnson, has extended their monopoly in South Africa. So currently, bedaquiline is patented in South Africa until 2027, meaning there won't be any generic manufacturer that enters the market that would provide or supply South Africa for an affordable price. So, so with that patent monopoly, it actually allows Johnson & Johnson to continue to charge as much as they do to South Africa, because we have granted an extension of their monopoly in the country. Whereas in countries like India, for example, where Johnson & Johnson attempted to extend their monopoly until 2027, considering that their patent was expiring on the 18th of July. So they even attempted to extend their monopoly in India. However, because of India's patent laws that are progressive, they actually rejected that extension. And that means that in India, they actually have that alternative source or alternative supply from generic manufacturers. Yeah. So I think even with our patent system, it actually enables companies like Johnson & Johnson to carry on with their monopoly and to charge the price that they're doing.
So, this is excuse the pun and the comparison I'm making, it's a very hard pill to swallow at the moment, because Firstly, TB is curable through taking medication,
Yes.
and yet it is the leading killer in this country, and that is in the world. Globally, it is the leading killer in this country, and we're talking prices that are totally unaffordable. Who is to blame here? So I need an understanding here. Obviously, there's J&J, and there's a big unprecedented decision to investigate J&J, which we'll get into in a moment. But where does the South African government come into this? I mean, why? If India can do what they have done and taken a stance the way they have, why are we doing this? Are the government complicit to this? Surely we have rights as well.
Exactly, and that's the big elephant in the room that, we have actually been advocating for patent law reforms in the country for many years. So over 10 years, we've been advocating that we need our patent laws to be changed. Currently there are provisions or TRIPS, provisions that would allow for a rejection of, a patent if it's not deemed valuable, or rather deemed innovative enough to be granted. There are provisions that could ensure that, public health is safeguarded. However, we still have not included those provisions in our patent laws, and hence, it creates sort of like a ring fences pharmaceuticals to be able to carry on with these practices. So I think the South African government is definitely to blame to a certain extent, because, if we, and I'm just reflecting even during COVID, we went on world stages saying that we need patent waivers on COVID-19 medical tools. We went to World Trade Organization saying that we need a TRIPS waiver to ensure that we get access to medical tools, because at the time there was a lot of inequity when it comes to access to these medical tools, and they recognized that actually patents play a huge role in us not being able to get access to these medical tools.
Yeah.
Yet, in our country, we did not even move. There was no, urgency to actually change and reform our own patent laws to ensure that we are able to get access to these medicines.
Yeah.
So I think the Department of Trade and Industry is definitely to blame, because they've actually been slacking in ensuring that our patent laws safeguard public health.
Yeah, they certainly, there is a definite problem here, and certainly trade and industry need to be held accountable for this. But let's look now, finally, we've got 2 minutes to get into the news bulletin. The Competition Commission has taken this unprecedented decision, which I mentioned, to investigate J&J for the high price it has been charging the country for this TB medicine, bedaquiline. So talk to us about this. I mean, when we talk about unprecedented, how big is this, and what could possibly come out of it?
Yeah, no, I think it's quite a huge step that has been taken by the Competition Commission to investigate Johnson & Johnson's practices. So not only will they actually investigate them for their excessive pricing, but they will actually investigate them for the exclusionary patents, and that is the evergreening, the extension of their monopoly in the country, which is quite important, which is, as far as we know, has never been done before. So I think in the case that they're actually going to be looking at the patent system, and actually how that also, how Johnson & Johnson have also used that to exclude others from entering to the market, is quite unprecedented. And so we are quite hopeful that this will set a precedence for even, the future, that we're actually now going to look at things at a much more systematic level. And hopefully, with the Competition Commission investigation, it will sort of urge these different departments or these different players to actually make that change at a systematic level, to ensure that we don't have to fight drug by drug, we don't have to fight disease by disease for such access, that it will actually hopefully change things at a much more systematic level than it is currently.